These are the 7 levels of validation. I decided to make a video on validation so your relationships can flourish, so you can learn a good strategy for conflict resolution, so your family can get closer together. What is validation to begin with? Validation is simply, I hear you and I see you. It doesn't mean I agree with you. It does not mean I condone what you're doing. It simply means I see you. Validation is finding the little kernel of truth within an experience. Number 1, validation is the simplest level. It's me being able to be here with you, looking at you as you speak to me so you feel heard. Now, mind you, if because of your cultural background or autism, you have difficulty looking at people as they speak to you, that is okay. We could talk about little tricks in a later video. The first level, we're looking at each other. I'm listening to her body language. Okay, so again, remember we'll be mindful. So level number 2, we are reflecting feelings descriptively, meaning your frown tells me, your tone tells me, okay? Now, I'm not going to label you or label your feelings. That would be judgment, which is not mindful. Again, go watch my other video on mindfulness, all right? All right, validation number 3. We're going to summarize what the other person said to us. We're going to try to paraphrase and not echo. We don't want to say word by word what the person said, because that means that we're not really processing what the person said. If I can process it, give you a summary, and my understanding, the other person's really going to feel heard and not feel like you're mocking them, okay? This is very important. Number 4, as a trauma therapist, number 4 level of validation is probably my favorite because it uses the context, the broader context of what's happening. You can use the person's history to validate the present situation. For example, I know this has been really difficult for you in the past. We've talked about it before, so I can see how it would be difficult right now. Number 5, be mindful of your relationship with the person and try to validate the current feelings, the current situation. Look at the context and the current. Not like number 4, we're looking at the history to validate the present. We're just looking at the present moment to validate the present. For example, you know what? Doing homework is really difficult. That math problem is really difficult. I can see why you would get frustrated. Very important for you to know that each level of validation gets more difficult as we go down. And yet I think some are really essential for all of the other ones to work. Number 6 is one of those levels of validation that is difficult and yet I believe is essential. And that is being genuine. I cannot be other than myself. And so if I'm validating you, but I'm really feeling resentful and really just disliking you right now, you're not gonna feel really validated. And so number 6 teaches us the importance of feeling that authenticity within ourselves. To be able to do that, it is so important to validate ourselves before we validate the other person. How do we do this? We validate ourselves in our head, of course. For example, this is really hard for me. I got this, okay? And then you can validate the other person. Number 7 is probably the most misunderstood level of validation. Most people think that validation means if you tell them a story, they need to tell you a similar story so they feel like you understand them. That is not validation number 7. Validation number 7 means that I'm able to show you my vulnerability in the present moment. An example of this would be, oh wow, hearing you tell me your story really makes me sad right now. Or hearing that I hurt you really brings me pain. I really wish I hadn't hurt you. Here is a little secret about validation. You can always validate feelings because you can never tell a person how to feel. A person is going to feel how they're going to feel. Whether they feel loved by you or hurt by you, it's their feelings. All right? Remember this. Remember, validation does not mean I like it, I condone it, or I want you to do it. Validation means I see you. I'm here with you. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share if you think anybody needs this, okay?